Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Can you hear me? Just type in yes so that we can start with the session. Okay, that's great. Uh, so today we are having Vrijraj Singh with us, and he will be leading you all through building app with Firebase. And he is organizer at GD Jalandhar and created a really well-organized ecosystem of projects and developer community, and you can say all the resources. And he's also a Google developer expert for web. So this is a golden opportunity for all of you to clear your doubts today related web. So now over to Rijra Singh.
Hi everyone, I'm Vrijraj. I'm a GDG organizer for GDG Jalandhar community in Punjab region. I'm a Google developer expert for web technologies. And in this webinar, I'm going to talk about Firebase and how we can implement Firebase in web platform. And in case of any query or a questions, just post your question at chat box, or you can ping me on social media with my hashtag Twitter account. So let's start with Firebase. So what is a Firebase? So Firebase is a development platform that provides developers with a lot of tools and services to help them develop high scalable application, grow their user base, and you can earn more profit with Firebase. So you can use Firebase for iOS platform or Android or web, C++ or Unity. So Firebase is divided into three main categories of tools with specific goals. So first one is build better applications. So it's help you to build better application by making complex coding processes easier. And second one is improve your app quality by helping you catch issue earlier and fixing them quickly. And third one is for it's helping you to grow your application by understanding how other people are using it and engage them with meaningful ways. You can see here there is almost 20 plus different products with and tools and services within a Firebase. So as a web developer in Firebase, you have to mainly work on Cloud Firestore, authentication, hosting, storage, cloud functions, and cloud messaging. So Cloud Firestore is a database tools that allow you to group data using document collection structure. The data is stored and synced between the users and devices at a global scale using cloud-hosted NoSQL database, which also support basic queries in addition to direct data access. Importantly, Cloud Firestore is automatically scale up your application. As your application becomes more popular, additional like machine will be added to your project. So you don't need to worry about like infrastructure or managing the infrastructure. It's also provide offline support, like if the user happen to lost their internet connections while using applications. So this is an example for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. Like in Cloud Firestore, everything is like we have to store data in a collections format. Inside collections can have a multiple documents, and each document have a data. So for example, I have created a database reference. So my database reference is a DB. So I created a collections. So my collections name is a user, and I call add method. Inside I'll pass JavaScript object, which is a data. So it will return a promises, and you need to handle the promises. So this is a basic example for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. While Cloud Firestore is a great, it's not only a solution available for storing your data with Firebase. So Firebase real-time database use simple JSON tree structure to store and read the data. It is a lightweight than Cloud Firestore. It still offer many of the advantages such as real-time synchronization with the data, offline support, scalabilities. Additionally, Firebase real-time database support the availability to know whether the user is connected to the database or not. So this is a simple code snippet for adding a data into Cloud Firebase real-time database. So I have created a JavaScript variable name. I pass a value. So I'm using Cloud real-time database. So like we have a two methods, set and post. Push method. So we use set method is for overwriting a data. So I pass a JavaScript object in set methods, and similarly push. It will append the data in real-time database. So one of the hardest thing to get the correct in an application is to security. Like we can add authentications, like we can add features like Google sign in with Google or Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So these kind of functionality we can implement with the authentication services. So Firebase authentication work with the number of different third-party identity providers, including a Facebook, Twitter, Google, GitHub, and many more. Additionally, you can support custom email, password solutions, anonymous account linking, and phone number authentications. Once the user sign in with your services, Firebase assign the user record within a system. So these include a unique user ID and sign-in token. So this is an example for creating a user with like email and password. So like we have a two variable email and password. So we have a functions create user with email and password. I'll pass the parameter email and password. So that's it. This is a simple logic for creating a user in hosting, sorry, authentications. So next one is hosting. So Firebase hosting is a fully managed hosting services for static and dynamic content as well as a microservices. So these services are backed by the SSD storage. A global CDN is a like content delivery network. So Firebase hosting is a developer focused static website provider, which is a very fast, secure, and reliable. So all website by the Firebase gets a free SSL certificate. So your content is always delivered securely. Firebase hosting is very easy to use with the ability of deploy a web application with a single command from Firebase command line tools or an interface like Firebase deploy. Although the real-time database and cloud file store are great for the storing more primitive data, sometimes you need to store and serve the user-generated content such as an image file, audio file, and other file. So directly in your application using Cloud File Store for Firebase, you can like file uh, storage. You can do exactly this thing like with the additional feature to make your app even more robust. So we have a method put method. So we have created a database reference for the storage, and then we'll call put method for uploading a file. So next one is cloud functions. So cloud functions for Firebase is a single purpose JavaScript functions that are executed in a secure, managed Node.js environment within your Firebase project. Sometimes you want to run your own code. That's where cloud functions comes into the picture. It's a powerful tool that lets you handle the complex logic operations within a Firebase, such as a performing operations on your Firebase database or interactive with various Google services or external services. So serverless doesn't mean that you don't use server. Of course, there are servers behind the scene. Your application or a code has to run somewhere. It has not a local machine, but it's do not have. But you do not have to manage the service server. So while cloud functions for Firebase are like powerful tools, sometimes you just need a solution for a common problem. So Firebase team added a feature Firebase extension was released at Firebase Dev Summit at last year in September. Actions are collections of pre-made configurable functions to handle the common use case such as resigning an image, or sending an email, or translating the text to the different language. So you can find a complete list of available Firebase extension on Firebase documentation. Next one is cloud messaging. So Firebase makes you to send the push notification to the user easily with cloud messaging. So notification can be sent to the Android, iOS, or a web platform. Many other devices, individual devices, or a group of devices. So you can find out all the information about the Firebase. Just visit the link firebase.google.com. So like you can go through the resources, like we have a Firebase documentation and code labs and some Medium articles. And I have created a repository for Firebase of our web. You can find sample code for the Firebase. So let's see how we can use Firebase in a web platform. So first we need to create an account at Firebase and then create a new project and go to the project, and then we have to import Firebase CDN or SDK in our web pages. So I'll give it a demo. Hello. Yeah. This is my Firebase console. So I'm creating a new project. So let's say my project name is test demo Firebase. So I disable the analytics and then I create a project, and I open a VS Code editor. So I'll create a new file, index.html. So it's a HTML basic logic. Okay, so my project is created. I'll go to the Firebase project dashboard. So there's a symbol for adding your web page or a web app. So let's say my application is my test app. Register. Yeah. So you need to copy this SDKs into your web page. So I'm using JavaScript. So I need to use script tag and we'll paste it here. Sorry, already is there. So that's it. So I have imported a JavaScript library for Firebase, and we have a Firebase keys for the projects. This is it. So now I'm going to talk about how we can implement Firebase cloud functions. Cloud Firestore. So first we need to import Firebase Cloud Firestore libraries. So we have a documentation. Go to the documentation. So we have so I'll just copy the Firestore's JavaScript library into my web page. That's it. And then we'll go to the database. Yeah, so I'll create a database, Cloud Firestore, in test mode. And then we'll create a database reference for Cloud Firestore. So let's say my database reference is a DB. I'm using Firebase, so I have to write Firebase. And then we are working on Cloud Firestore, so we'll write Firestore. So Firebase Firestore is a predefined methods. Yeah, so my database is ready. Like in Cloud Firestore, everything is a collections. Inside collections, we can have multiple documents. So similarly, I'll I'll do some operations for adding some data into Cloud Firestore. So my DB reference is DB database reference, and then we'll type collections. I'll create a collections. So my collections name is users. I'll create a document. So we'll write doc. So inside collections, we have a document. So let's say my document name is user1, and I'll call set method. Set method is a predefined method for adding a data. So we need to add a JavaScript object, or you can create a JavaScript object here for adding a user. So let user data, it's an object. So I'll add a name. So name is of user1, and the age is, let's say, 23. So I'll add this user data. So it's a promises, like we need to handle the promise. So we'll use then block. So it will give me the callback functions. Then we need to work on. So console.log and write edit. And similarly, if there is any problem, so we need to handle in catch block. So it's a arrow functions. So yeah, so this is a basic query for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. So like we have a database reference, then I have added a collections. My collections name is users, and then we have a document name is user one. So under user one, I'm adding a data, this one. So I'll save it, and I will open this web page into this one. So I'll go to the console. So it's showing that it's added. So I'll check. I'll reload, or you can check it here. Yeah. So like we have a collections users, and inside collections we have a document. Document name is user one, and having a field like agent name. Similarly, you can create a user two. So let's say user two, and the age is 24. So I'll save, and my document ID is user two. So I'll save and then reload. Yeah, it's added. Yeah, so user two is there. So this is the operation for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. So similarly, you can read the data. So we can read the data from specific documents. So for example, I have to define a database reference. Then we need to work on collections. So we have a collections name is users. And then we need to read the data from this document. So my document name is user2. So I'll add user2. Okay, so for reading a data, so we have a method get method. So get method will execute. It will return a promise. Then we need to handle in then block. So it will give me the document. So like so console.log. So we need to print the data. So document data is a predefined method. Uh, and also we need to handle the error with catch block console.log e. So right now I will comment this one. So I'll get a data from user two. So I'll go to the browser and then reload. So yeah, so data is there like from user two. Similarly, I can read the data from user one. Yeah. Okay. And also we can work on list of data, like I can read the data from collections, like I can get all the documents from the collections. uh, so we have on snapshot methods, or we can use read all the docs. So like we working on database reference, then we have a collections. So So we have a collections is users. So I need to read all the data from these collections. So I'll add get methods, and it's a promises. So we need to handle in then block. So it will give me the result list of objects. So list of objects is a like we need to work on add a for each loop. So I'll add for each. So it will give me one by one object. So I'll print console.log or it's object.data. And also you can add a catch block for error purpose. Okay, so I'll save and then reload this page. So it will give me the all the collect documents in users data. Okay, so like we can also update the document. So for updating a document, we have a method update method. So let's say DB reference. Then I'm working on collections. So my collections name is users, and which document I need to update. So let's say I want to update user one, user one, and we'll add update. So we'll need to pass JavaScript object. So like in user one, I need to replace user one to something new name. So let's say name is uh, user Firebase, and it will also it will return a call. It's a JavaScript promises, so we need to handle console.log update, or we can handle error with catch block. So I will reload this data page. The content is updated. So yeah, so name is like we have earlier we have a user one. Now name is updated. So similarly, you can delete the document. So for deleting a document, we have a method delete. So I'll create a database reference. So we have a database reference, and then we have a collections name. So I'll add a collections like users, and then which document we want to delete. So I'll add a user one, then we have a delete method. So it will also it's a call it's a JavaScript promises. So I'll so blank, let's say console.log, and we can handle error catch block console.log e. So I'll save and I will reload this browser. Yeah. So my collection document of user one is deleted. So now we have user two only. So this is all about Cloud Firestore. We can add a data, read the data, or update the data with Cloud Firestore. And similarly, you can use authentication services. For example, I need to use authentications, like I'm adding a functionality for creating a user on my web page. So first we need to define auth reference. So let's say my reference is auth, and then I'm using Firebase, and then auth is a predefined methods. So let's say I'll go to the authentications. Okay, so we have we can add a functionality like a login functionality, like we can use authentication for Google authentications or a Facebook or third party like Twitter, Facebook, anything. So right now I'm implementing email with password. So I'll enable and then save. So my authentication method is enable. So let's say I'm creating a two variable. So first variable is name email. So my email ID is vrijraj2396@gmail.com, and second one is for the password. So my password is, for example, 123456. So like for creating a user, right now we have added a auth is a reference, and then we have a method create user with email and password. So you can find the docs for the Firebase authentication. Just visit the link of like firebase.google.com/document docs. So I'll pass two parameter, email and password. So like if the user is successfully created, so it will give me the result. So I'll print this result, res, and if there is any problem, like I'll handle in catch block. I'll print console.log e. So this is a simple method, create user with email and password. So I'll reload this page. So firebase.auth. Yeah. So also we need to import the Firebase authentication library. So I'll just go to the getting started, and we have a Firebase authentication library. So I'll just copy and I will paste it here, save, and then reload. Yeah. So now user is created. So I can go to the authentication and then users. So right now, like user is created with the email ID vrijraj2396@gmail.com, and this is a user ID. You can it will assign by the Firebase itself, and similarly you can create another user. So let's say not a Vrijraj or XYZ123, and we'll save and then reload. Yeah. So user is created again. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this is a simple example for Firebase authentication. So like you can, I have added a sample repository for the Firebase for web. You can just visit the link github.com/vrijraj Firebase hyphen Google for web. So do you have any doubts? Any questions? So you can also visit the repository I have made for the Firebase for web, github.com/Richraj. So we have a repository Firebase for web. Just visit this repository. I have mentioned each and every steps. Like if you want to implement Firebase real-time database, so we have so like for writing and reading a data or read the list of data, counting the number of nodes, and for the delete the operations. So like you can follow this repository for adding Firebase functionality in your web. Any other question? Okay, so thank you so much, Nand. You can follow the documentation on Firebase. It's a very easy to implement Firebase for web developers. You can add a functionality like you can use Firebase database or authentications. You can trigger a push notification with using cloud messaging. So just visit the link like firebase.google.com and the docs. So thank you so much, Nand, for inviting me.
Thank you, Vijay, for such an informative session on Firebase. Uh, so I think now everyone's doubt is clear regarding this Firebase and how to build web apps with Firebase. Thanks again, Vrijraj, for joining. If anyone having any doubt right now, so you can ask. We are waiting for 30 seconds, and then we will wrap this session. Okay. Thank you all for joining this session. Thank you, Vrijraj Singh. Thank you all.